Unmute everything, switches to the right screen. All right, guys, welcome back to, I believe this is our ninth session of Adiona. Don't really have but a few announcements, and if you've listened to my content over the past weekend, you probably know what I'm about to say. So, first things first, I have released a free Star Trek Adventures mission compendium. It's on my Patreon. Check it out if you're interested. It's completely free. The other announcement I have is that we are going to be a little bit weird schedule wise with the Adiona group here. Meaning that next week we might meet, but it might be simply that we have to go skipping 2 weeks in a row to get us back on the normal schedule, quote unquote. We'll see how my schedule is next week and how things go from there. The general idea, though, is that Adiona alternates with the Arcadia group, so that 1 week it's the Adiona group, the other week it's the Arcadia. That way I'm only running, a maximum of 2 games every week. But we had extenuating circumstances this week, so I'm making it work come higher hell rain. Other than that, let's just go ahead and get down to business. So, where we last left off, the Adiona crew had discovered something rather disturbing, that the Muuat, the creatures that lived behind the neutron star protected area of the Andromeda Galaxy, basically thought of them, well, I guess you could say of them, yeah, thought of the away team that was on the Rama Maven as emissaries of their gods, the Dohrnii. And it turned out that Andromeda may or may not be one of these Dohrnii. And, dealing with that, I guess you would call a Messiah complex, the away team went to the homeworld of the Muuat, and it was about that time that the rest of the Adiona crew and the actual Adiona ship showed up, and that's pretty much where we left off, was you all just pretty much everyone coming to the system at the same point in time, and that the Muuat ships are starting to move in and otherwise encircle the Adiona. So we're just going to jump right in. And Captain, you've just been told by your lovely Chief Tactical Officer that there's quite a number of ships out there and they're closing fast.
Adiona just arrived, correct?
Correct.
Sorry, what was the time period? 3 weeks or something like that?
Between when you left originally or when you went through the gate.
Yeah, there was a time difference or chronometer error of like 3 weeks.
Yeah, something like that.
Do you want to start on the bridge here?
Yep.
Okay, I'll take a scan, of course, but it's pretty evident that I'll just say, Captain, we found the Rama Maven. How do you pronounce that?
Rama Maven.
Rama Maven. And there seems to be other ships in the areas, too.
All right, give me a full sweep. Let's figure out who everybody is.
Put it all on screen.
All right, so on screen you see no less than, shall we say, 10 ships. Most of them are of the smaller size neutronium vessel, but you guys are still dwarfed by both defensive and size capabilities.
We would scan the other vessels. Are they arming?
Well, that's the funny thing. If you remember, you can't really scan neutronium vessels.
Are their weapon turrets turning?
They do not appear to be now.
Okay. I cannot scan any weapon signatures, Captain, but the turrets do not appear to be turning either.
Verify yellow alert.
Zava reports, yes, we are at yellow alert, sir.
Shall we hail the Rama Maven?
Yeah, of course. Let's establish what the current situation is on the ship.
All right. So we're going to cut to the Rama Maven Bridge. And Morgan, you get a hail from the Adiona.
Well, look, it decided to show up. On screen.
And on screen is your lovely captain.
Hello, Captain.
Morgan, what's your situation over there?
Well, we're taking ourselves on a little adventure. There has been a lot of developments going on, and it's easier to probably brief in person.
Well, give me the quick one. We got a whole bunch of ships out here that we're not sure what they're gonna do.
You don't have to worry about it, Captain. They're relatively friendly. And when I say relatively friendly, I mean quite friendly. It's an extenuating circumstance. They think Andromeda is a deity, and there's a lot of things that we need to discuss. But you don't have to worry about any threat to the Adiona.
All right. What status do you recommend the ship take then?
You could stand down from yellow alert. It's not necessary to provoke them.
Alrighty. Yeah, okay. We'll reposition the ship, and then we'll arrange for rendezvous as soon as we can get the situation fixed.
Understood.
Helmsman, position ourselves facing away from the ship. It's posture like we're somewhat with it.
All right, and Mayweather gets you moving into the correct position.
Just to be completely clear, we'll contact the other. I'm forgetting their name right now. Really bad on my part.
Muuat.
Muuat vessels. There we go. I want to contact the other Muuat vessels. Just inform them that that is our ship that has arrived.
Okay. So you call up Commander Tarud again, and Tarud simply says, "Yes, emissary. How may I help you?"
I just wanted to inform you that the ship that just arrived in the system is one of ours.
Then we will treat it the same as any other emissary vessel.
I'm sure you will. Anyway, thank you for your understanding. Morgan out.
So, can we have a refresher, GM, in that I think we discussed with the Muuat that we were going to follow them to their system through a jump gate, or did we do that
already? Yeah, you've already come through the jump gate. You're already in their home system.
Okay. And we were going to get effectively some kind of tour.
Something like that, yeah.
It's however we conduct it.
Yeah, so you guys are in the Genvola system, and the Muuat homeworld is Genvola 4, and the system itself is very similar to the inner part of, like, Sol, where, you have a series of 4 planets of varying types. Big difference is that instead of, it being like an Earth-like planet 3, the Earth-like planet is actually number 4. You are seeing a lot of neutronium construction. You're seeing shipyards. You're seeing star bases. Basically, these guys are more or less spacefaring. They just happen to be very religious.
Okay, and Anari has a question for you, GM. When we met with the Anari, or I'm sorry, the Muuat, there was a discussion that they have sort of a worship for Andromeda's species, and it almost seemed like it was through a book or some kind of knowledge database or something to that effect. And every ship has one. We haven't seen any indication of something like that on this ship, have we?
No, and if I recall correctly, you guys went searching for one, but never found it.
Now, I'm leading into this part too, where everything on this ship has to do with the function of the ship, except perhaps this portal in the captain's quarters.
Possibly.
All right. And the armor down there, it was a set of armor. Did it resemble more of the captain's armor or the acolyte's armor in the sense? Because you distinguished them before when we met them.
I would say definitely more like the commanders.
Okay. Captain Morgan, I'd like to go back down to the captain's quarter and take a tricorder and look at the portal.
Feel free to.
All right, and I go down and take a scan of the portal.
Yes.
Is it more than just an imager.
Nope, just an imager.
Okay, I'll just come back up and report that. Seems they don't have any kind of temple or an object of worship here on this vessel.
That's probably something that's going to be uncovered soon.
I'd really like to go over to one of their ships and just see, maybe start with that before we go to the planet.
Quite certain that I'd probably be able to arrange that. Honestly,
Actually,
they'd probably be delighted.
I mean, we could call it a review or something, but it would be really interesting to see them in a social environment.
Well, it's almost like they've heard you, because at this point you are getting a hail from the commander again.
Put it up.
Alright, so again, you see Commander Tarud on the screen. He says, Goddess and Emissary, it is with great pleasure at this point that I am willing to invite you to sample the Prime Temple upon Gunvolith 4.
Well, I appreciate this invitation. Is there anything specific that we need to know or bring before our arrival?
Simply come as you are.
I think that cut out from me. Was that a response?
That you just need to come as you are. That's it.
Oh,
Is
GM?
it just me that's hearing him?
Yeah, he's cutting out.
Which
Yeah,
is,
GM's roboting.
All right.
Well, I know Stream hears me fine.
Well, stream seem to be cutting out too.
Forget about that stream superiority.
Alright, how about now?
Better. So good.
Alright, they literally just say come as you are.
All right then.
Can you guys hear me?
Mhm.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. I stopped my reset of my laptop because it got stuck at 35% for 2 hours.
Unlucky, dude.
Very unlucky.
Well, in that case, I mean, I'll confirm to Commander Taru that we'll accept his invitation.
Alright. So he provides a set of coordinates and to signal him when your landing craft is ready so that he may escort you through the atmosphere.
Understood. So at the same time, right now we're going to go actually see the temple.
That would be the plan, yeah.
All right then. Mac, are you sure you do? Is that okay, or would you rather inspect the ship first?
Nari would say that sounds fine as long as there's a limited number of people at the temple, limited number of Muuat. We don't want to overexpose ourselves.
That's definitely something that I'm going to remind them once we're on board the shuttle. Anyway, in this case,
Permission to grab a overnight bag?
mission granted.
I would like to stay with them if the opportunity presents itself. If you guys return to the ship. Is that all right?
Eng's and Kira is going to speak up one.
That's all well and dandy. And what seems to be on your mind, Miss Kara?
Just to observe.
Well, I wanted to, once we get on their ship, to try to run a more exhaustive scan just to make sure we're up to speed on what the ABCs of their physiology is on board their own.
Just as a note, I do recall, Jim can correct me, that they absorb nutrients from the atmosphere. They don't really eat. Is that right?
That is right, but also I think there's a little bit of confusion here. You guys are taking your own landing craft down. They're not sending one over.
Yeah, yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of who do we want to go?
Well, I mean, I'll probably get yelled at if I don't bring Andromeda. But if Andromeda's going, then Crawford is going. Anari will definitely come with us, along with Sankaru, to make sure we can get an up-to-date picture on the physique. But we do need someone here remaining in the ship, and I'm not confident. Well, I am confident in Connery. He shows up all of us, but I mean, he just volunteered for that job. And if something happens to Connery, then unfortunately, the next best person to deal with that is Havoc. So these two are staying on board.
Okay.
Grumble,
Well,
grumble, grumble.
If we've established that it's safe on board the ship, can't we use one of our ship resources for a secondary away team, the baby?
If we establish that it's safe on board their ship, you're asking?
No. We dispatch an away team from the Adiona to babysit on.
Oh, that's right. They're in the system now. Out of character. I completely forgot that.
Yeah, I would recommend bringing Havoc because of the technology.
Technically, since we came over ourselves, we still have three crew resources.
That's correct. We could definitely put a crew on it.
So, small question: am I coming, or are you sticking me with Con?
You are coming.
All right. Second question: should I find a way to hide my more metallic bits? They may find my extreme difference in look from you to be off-putting.
I'd say go get some cosmetic alterations from the doctor before we head on out.
Or maybe Adiona could just speak on your behalf and they will ignore it.
That'd work. Plus, I don't want that doctor to start ripping pieces out of me. He scares me a little.
You're not the only one. But at the same time, I rather present a uniformed appearance. Because even though we're going to necessarily treat them as Dark Age people, I don't want to increase the variance that they've already been exposed to. Not necessarily for the fact that they couldn't handle it, but I'd rather not continuously introduce more unknowns.
We're representing the Federation.
I look over at Andromeda and said, Andromeda, would you like to help me out with a little bit of half-truthing from your behalf?
What do you have in mind?
Well, they believe that you're a god, and I'm a quote-unquote emissary, correct?
That seems to be the situation.
Could you say, on my behalf, say that when you found me and decided to have me as part of this group, because I'm betting they believe that you are actually the one leading this, that I was beyond, I was beyond normal healing, so you had to, fix me up.
I mean, it is one of many stories I've considered after realizing I'm going to have to do a lot of talking, yes?
I look at Morgan. Well, that could solve this problem. We simply just make them believe that the Andromeda's people just fixed me up in this way to keep me going. Thus, they don't question it, and they don't look into it further.
I won't lie, I'm uncomfortable with the idea of more half-lies or half-truths.
They are really good engineers, so I would think that they would be accepting of technology.
Or we just don't say anything and continue on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll only mention this if they start giving us questions about it.
I won't force you into those alterations. They're just a suggestion. But if you wish to not procure them, then you are going to come as you are.
Or I could just wrap something around my head.
Or you come as you are. And that's my final order on the matter.
Fair enough.
Alright, so let's assume you coordinate this with the Adiona proper. So who all is coming so I know what tokens to drop on the map here? So I've got Morgan, I've got Inari, I've got Havoc, I've obviously got Andromeda. Who else?
Crawford, and Havoc.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's pretty much we're swapping out the away team on this one with a second away team that's going to babysit this ship while we all go somewhere.
Okay. Alright, I think that's everyone represented. Yep.
And we can use the teleporters between the ships, right?
You can use the transporter between your Federation shuttlecraft and the Adiona, yes.
That way they don't see another shuttle go between.
Yeah, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be outside the Rama Maven or any neutronium structure.
Small question: has the doctor finished fixing up the arm I gave him and made it more "quote unquote" uh, human-like way, like he was intending to?
I would say that's entirely up to him at this point. So, what say you, Galen?
Not quite done, because I've only been working on it for a little bit now. But I think, given another day, it should be done.
You don't need to put the lipstick holder in there.
Oh, it's going to be nice.
That thing better have some places I can put tools in it.
I'll have the Adiona pull alongside the ship to minimize any issues the neutrino skin may.
All right.
Shall we make a roll for that so we might have a chance at some momentum?
Get a little bit closer to the mic because you're trailing off there for me.
I think that's a challenge rating 1 to do that beaming.
The transporting?
Yes.
It's a difficulty 2. But I would say unless you're trying to do something super fancy, it's not that hard to pull off.
Well, yeah, I meant for the momentum purposes.
Well, you've got 3. I didn't take away your momentum, so you still have 3.
I know, but the way we are going, we might need a lot more than that.
All right, well, if you actually want to roll for it, I'm not going to stop you. So the Adiona, whoever is going to be doing the actual rolling, it's going to be a... Where is it? There it is. It's going to be a control engineering, difficulty 2. And the ship is assisting with sensors engineering, which means for you guys it goes down to 1. And yeah, so I need sensors engineering from the Adiona, and I need control engineering for whoever is actually running the transporter.
Yeah, so...
I'll run it. Wait, are we running it from which ship to which ship?
It's going to be from the Adiona to whatever shuttlecraft you have going on. Because you can't beam through neutronium.
Yeah, wouldn't Zava be making that roll?
She would, so someone's going to have to roll for her.
Yeah, I'm looking at her stuff now. Control engineering, numbers 11. Can somebody take over rolling for the ship for me?
Can do, will do, Buckaroo.
While they do the roll, I asked Connery, scanning the planet, is there any surprises down there?
He takes a look and he says, "Not quite anything I'm not really familiar with, no."
I was just concerned about hazards, that's all.
Oh, no.
Burning 1 for the roll.
Say again?
Burning 1 point for the roll.
Okay. All right.
And the ship is assisting with what exactly?
Sensors engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
All
that's
right,
2 momentum.
So, no, that's 3 momentum.
3? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you get your auxiliary crew on the Rama Maven while the quote-unquote prime away team heads on down. And I'll put us on this map. So, the moment your shuttle is out of the Rama Maven shuttle bay, 2 what are basically support craft of the Muuat come up and flank you on the other side like an escort and lead you down into the atmosphere. Of course, the atmospheric transition's a little bit rough, but when is it not? When things finally stabilize, you see that you're over a vast desert, and in the distance, you see the very same structure that is now on the screen. It is a very large, artificially looking structure that's made of rock, made of some form of metal, and it has a large sort of, I guess you would call it a basket or a holder above the quote unquote main entrance that sort of glows with a light blue, light greenish hue. And you see that you're being led to a landing zone, maybe about half a mile away from this thing. And interestingly, as you look out both visually and with your sensors, you're seeing that there is quite literally a trail of Muuat extending from where you're about to land to the temple itself. If I had to make a comparison, it's like if you were to say try and see the Pope whenever he's in his motorcade. It's kind of like that. So you more or less have a glowing sort of strip of light that more or less flanks either side of the passageway into the temple. And there are just hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of Muuat there to see what they believe is their god.
Not what I expected.
Not good.
Not good.
Just getting more and
Scale
more
of 1 to
complicated.
10 for not good to good, definitely a 3.
Question, Game Master. The portal showed us tundra forest. Are there tundra forest on this planet, or does it look like this?
There are. You just happen to come down into a desert-like area.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering because it might have been an image of something that was not native or gone, but okay.
So, unless you decide to do anything else, we'll say that you guys land and you pop the hatch open and step out, and waiting for you is an acolyte, acolyte Suvail, and he immediately prostrates himself before Andromeda when she steps out and says, "Oh, great goddess, we are not worthy of your presence. Please, if you and your emissaries would follow me, I would be most humbled if I could lead you to the temple." And
So I'm
go ahead.
gonna, after they're done, proselytizing, I'm gonna lean over to Andromeda and whisper, I would prefer not to go through these thousands of Muuat. So if you can encourage him to give us the coordinates of the temple, and we'll just beam in. We'll meet them all there. I'd rather do that than risk an entire planetary exposure.
I agree. What do? We crawl back into our shuttle and beam?
Yeah, that's what I would prefer.
Well, why don't we invite the commander to our shuttle, at the doorway and explain that we would prefer not to enter in this fashion, but directly get ourselves in, and we don't have to explain that. We'll just tell them.
You do gotta watch their customs, though. It's kind of a risk if all of a sudden we're trying to change how they act.
Well, we're already changing how they're acting usually.
No, I mean modifying it from what they want to do.
And
At this
Andromeda
point-
is just going to point out, we are pretty sure they don't have transporting technology. If we literally beam into their temple, they're going to just believe I'm a god even more.
Yeah, I know there's that problem too. Before we go much further, Game Master, can you tell us about the crowd? This is the first time we've seen a large group of Muuat.
Mm-hmm.
Are they families? Are they seem very much alike?
Well,
Yeah, I was going to make a point that Edson Caro is trying
is
to
it
take ongoing scans of whatever
Is it
he can get while they're.
a massive pilgrimage of, Muuat that all look the same, or is it, older, younger?
I
Are
mean,
they carrying?
obviously you're seeing variations throughout the crowd, but it's, as I said before, it's kind of like whenever the Pope comes and tours someplace, you just have a whole slew of people that come out to see him.
So I can think of them as people,
More or
All
less,
different-
yeah.
all different personalities, I guess, and such.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna
Well, as
ask.
far as you're going to be able to tell when you're marching in a parade.
I'm gonna ask just a clarification question. So, this Pope-like motorcade, I'm assuming we're at the very beginning of this path, and there's not an immediate crowd surrounding our landing zone, correct? Maybe a little bit in front
the
of us,
time
but
it's taken you to talk through all this, they've kind of encircled the place.
okay, then we got no choice then. I wanted to see if I could be able to sneak back in, but we could make a public appearance as Starfleet, but Andromeda would just beam in, along with Crawford. That's what I would have preferred.
Everybody remember where we parked.
I whispered to Commander Morgan, just let's try to act natural on this one. I don't want them to suddenly start freaking out.
Before Crawford's off the shuttle, he is going to do what Chief O'Brien and Dr. Bashir has done to their runabouts in the past in DS9, is voice commands.
All right.
He's linking his comm badge to the shuttle.
Okay. Simple enough to do.
And GM, as a note, you got my constant scanning until somebody bothers me about it.
Okay.
Mainly
And-
just information gathering. So
I don't know if it's my setting, but you have been quiet for the past like 10 minutes, so I don't know if that's me, but
He's quiet.
yeah.
all right, I'll make sure I got the mic in my hand then.
Yeah, that's much better.
Please eat your microphone for me.
Yeah. So, the Engine Kenku is just running constant scans for information collection.
Gotcha.
Do the Muuat appear fanatical, like they're gonna rush us or rush the shuttle?
You don't
You know-
rush the Pope, dude. You don't
Yeah,
rush the Pope.
You don't rush the Pope.
All right.
How tall is Andromeda?
I believe I've had Andromeda pegged at a flat 7 feet.
Okay, so Crawford's just a little bit shorter than her then.
What a manlet did.
Crawford's a big dude. Some would call him an absolute unit.
Okay. I don't want to hear any more of this. Let's go.
All right. Well, unless one of you wants to specifically ask yourself or prod Andromeda to, some form of wheeled or hover transport, you just sort of begin walking. And again, unless stopped, the Acolyte sort of has Andromeda somewhere at the front. And as you go, there's cries from the Muuat, there are tears of joy, there's admiration. It's pretty much everything you'd expect from a major religious figure just kind of showing up, and people are happy to see them. But I would think for you being Starfleet personnel, not really comfortable with being emissaries, that's a very, very unnerving experience. You definitely kind of feel a sort of an imposter syndrome, if you will. The good news is that after about 15 minutes of walking, you come to the temple proper, and the crowds seem to taper off in favor of the temple keepers. Those inside the temple sort of take up spots next to you and lead you further into the temple. And as you can see on the screen, it's a very open type thing where it's very much open to the air. But in the very center of the structure, there is a pillar of bright, brilliant purple light that is covered in alien script. And the Acolyte leads you all to this and says, Great One, it is here that it is said that the Dohrnii have left their treasure.
I translate the inscription if I can with the tricorder.
Nope. The Universal Translator's like, I have no idea what any of this is.
Start trying to work on a translation. Unless Andromeda can read it, I'll ask her.
I can indeed read it. And she goes up to it and says, it reads, May these children escape the fate of this doomed galaxy.
Well, who just got chills up their spine?
Spooky. Very spooky. I also want to take a little bit of a look at the pillar to see what level of technology this pillar is. Like how advanced.
Insight Engineering, difficulty 1.
And GM,
Mm-hmm.
I want to just look around, see if anyone's acting off, anyone that might be waiting for a moment to attack. Because sometimes you have people that might not like a visiting deity.
Insight Security for you. Also a difficulty
And
1.
I would have an applicable focus, correct? Because I have ancient and Xeno technology.
Uh-huh.
Now, this is my second time using Crawford. Do I get a talent?
No, this is still the same adventure.
Uh,
Alright, so you're going to be at 6 momentum because Havoc did succeed and it was only difficulty 1. So I guess why Crawford's rolling. Yeah, so Crawford, you're not seeing anything, if there is anything. Havoc, I would say that this is something close to a holographic display with a energy signature that is not unlike the interior of a computer core.
Ooh. All right. Small question. Actually, I'm gonna turn because the acolyte's right next to us,
There's more
and
than
so is Andromeda.
yeah, they're right next to you. Well, Andromeda's a little bit of ways ahead of you. Just sort of step forward and studying the Pillar of Light herself.
And I can see where this pillar of light is being projected from. Correct?
It's coming from the ground somewhere, yes.
I asked the acolyte, has anyone attempted to touch the sacred artifact?
No, other than to perform maintenance upon it. And even then, we know not its inner functions.
I I breathe very, very slowly. I'm trying to keep my nerves calm as I ask, may I see the device and see how you have run maintenance on it?
The acolyte kind of looks at you strangely and says, "It is not anyone but the Dohrnii's place to interface with such a device."
No, I did not intend to interface. I merely wish to see it. See how you said that you have done maintenance on it, correct?
Yes, we have assured that the power flows to it have remained adequate.
I see. Well, if it is only the Dorney's place to interface with such a device, I shall respect that. I bow my head very, very slowly and reverently and take a step back.
Alright. Well, unless anyone stops Andromeda, she's going to start stepping forward with her hand outstretched, and her hand begins to glow the same sort of brilliant purple light. And.
uh,
Go ahead.
Crawford will just be walking up behind her.
So you'll get within, say, 3 steps, and the acolytes will literally cut off your path.
I'm just gonna look back to the commander. I was like, "Am I gonna have to hurt someone?" That's the look he's giving Morgan.
So Morgan will step up. Actually, will ask the acolyte for Andromeda's protection and for our own self-interest. I'd prefer if Crawford would stay close to her during this process.
So, before any of you really can stop her from going forward, Andromeda's a bit entranced by this whole thing. She does make contact with it. And
She doesn't appear to be herself.
she's just
Or-
kind of not really. She's playing along with the Muuat. She's not really seeming to, shall we say, be waiting for a certain commander's permission. But, she makes contact with the Pillar of Light, and a sort of stream of visual data begins to fly past her and into her. And it's sort of a swirling miasma or a vortex of light that surrounds her.
Record it.
May I attempt to record this?
Yeah, you can record it. No problem.
Yeah,
And
Karu's still recording data.
yeah. And this vortex of information, this vortex of light, surrounds her for a good minute and a half before it subsides and goes back to its normality. And Andromeda lowers her hand, very calmly turns to all of you and says, "Well, I have quite a few answers now. Acolyte, is there somewhere where my emissaries and I can speak privately for a moment?" Acolyte says, yes, of course, goddess. There are many ancillary rooms we could take you to. And Andromeda says, yes, take us to the nearest one, please. And Acolyte says, oh, of course, this way. And you are eventually led to what is essentially a small conference room of sorts. Can maybe fit about 20 people in there if you really crammed them in, but it's got what would fare for a Muuat chair, a Muuat table. The chair doesn't look extremely comfortable, but considering you people on the away team have been sitting in one on the Rama Maven for a little bit, it's kind of like the same thing. It still will function as a chair, and that's what matters. But, your away team, including Andromeda, kind of comes into this room. Andromeda says, thank you, Acolytes. I'll need you to wait outside. And they say, of course, goddess. And the moment the doors are closed and it's just the away team again, Andromeda just says, well, do you want the good news or do you want the bad news?
Before she starts, I want to immediately scan for listening devices.
All right. Go ahead and roll me a reason engineering. Difficulty 2.
That's exactly what I wanted to say as well. So can I assist?
Okay, yeah. You guys can assist each other.
No, you got the better engineering roll, so I'll assist you.
So reason engineering.
Ensign Carew.
And I have a focus. Do I have focus on this? I think I do.
Oh, let's say what you do.
Xenotechnology.
All right, there's 2 successes. All right, so I believe you have a floating momentum, yes, because you are at 6 at the moment. But yeah, you're not detecting anything that would fare as a listening device. There do not appear to be any recording devices in the immediate area.
Can I use the floating momentum to make sure that the room is fully soundproof, therefore none of the Muuat outside can hear us?
I would say if they're literally pressed up against the door, they might be able to hear you if you start yelling, but it's reasonably soundproofed.
But we would be talking in gibberish to them because we're talking Federation, right?
I mean, everything, your universal translator has handled Muuat and Federation the entire time, so unless you literally turn off your translator, it's just going to keep doing it.
But we're not talking in Muuat.
No, I mean, you're still talking in your native language.
So they would need a translator, which they don't have.
No, as far as I'm aware, the universal translator works both ways.
Can we change that?
You could, but it would take a little bit of time.
I think we're going a little bit overboard. Surely, if we whisper, we're not really worried about anything.
I'm afraid of what the bad news is going to be, because from that translation, boy oh boy, we're in for a rocky ride.
Well, first we got to hear the news.
Well, hit me with the bad news, Andromeda.
Well, as you all remember, the Rama Maven was lost for about 50 years, yes?
To our knowledge, that's correct.
Well, until it was launched and subsequently lost, the Muuat were apparently a very secular culture. They were not unlike your Federation, but they were all about exploration and learning. And while they did recognize that my people, the Dohrnii, had brought them to the garden, they were treated as sort of benevolent species of old. But when the Rama Maven vanished, I mean, the Muuat held out hope for several years, but it was pretty easy for a very highly religious and a zealous sect to consume their culture, and that's kind of what we're seeing now, where they are now an extremely religious society that believes they cannot travel beyond the veil, and that it's heresy to consider it.
Interesting.
But I think it's probably worth saying that, based on what I've just learned and what I've observed thus far, the Muuat culture is probably going to collapse and regress to an almost medieval state within several centuries if nothing has changed.
Collapse?
Correct.
In a sense, though, we reaffirmed our presence is reaffirmed that there is something beyond the veil, which is what they were trying to discover before. Seems like they would go back to that.
Not if they believe I'm a god and you're all my emissaries.
That's because of the current sect. What did they believe before that?
They honestly had never expected to run into a Dohrnii again, so it's hard to say whether or not they would have reacted the same way had we shown up and none of this had happened.
Do you know why your people brought them here specifically?
I do. It's a bit of a story, though.
Is that the good news?
No time like the present.
The good news is I do know more about my people now. I know that they are the Dohrnii. But perhaps it's not exactly good news, but I guess I'll just start at the beginning. And she sort of holds out her palm of her hand upright, so it's facing, up. And from the palm of her hand, she projects an image of the Andromeda Galaxy. And she says, long ago, before even the Milky Way's Takan, this particular galaxy produced two creator races. And these two races were radically different. One, the Dohrnii, were more traditionally humanoid, and the other was an energy-based life form, or an energoid. And the latter, the energoids, thrived on radiation and viewed the former as dangerous and in their way. And at first, both my people and these energoids seeded the galaxy until they could no longer ignore each other. And you sort of see that the projection in her hand starts to sort of carve off portions of the galaxy in different colors, and eventually it's all either one color or another. And she continues, with their differences, they were unable to coexist peacefully, and this led to a great galactic war. And my people, the Dohrnii, they were able to drive the energoids out to the fringes of the galaxy, which the energoids weren't exactly thrilled with. As I said, they thrive on radiation, and out in the cold fringes of the galaxy, where the rad count is low, they were languishing and otherwise dying out very slowly. So it's of no surprise that these energoids conceived a great and terrible revenge. And she looks very specifically at Havoc at this. Havoc, you've been wondering where all this radiation has been coming from, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the energoids, even to this day, have been using advanced technology to slowly increase the radiation throughout the entire galaxy. The goal either being driving out the Dohrnii and leaving it open for the energoids themselves, or outright killing everything in the galaxy so that they alone can survive. But, as they are not exactly thrilled about, my people adapted. So that is why, even to this day, the galaxy grows ever more and more hostile to life. And that is why the Muuat were brought here into, quote-unquote, the garden. The abundant neutron stars supposedly protect them from the energoid's radiation dumping, but as you can see, the cost is that the Muuat are, quote-unquote, trapped.
Wonderful. Galactic level proportion.
So as a preserver race, you brought them here to help them, and they appreciated that. In a more diverse, open society, it's only been recently perverted. I think you, Andromeda, will have to correct the situation that exists now, and bring forth the idea that this is what you intended, not this religious sect, but a more meaningful life for the Muuat.
Yeah. Old Testament, New Testament.
The problem is if that sect is extremely powerful, they could, well, try to silence us and make us disappear to keep their religion going.
Before we get to that, I have a more specific question about the artifact on this temple. Do you have any other knowledge that pertains to this?
Well, it wasn't so much an artifact as it was a very important piece of data.
And why was it left here?
Yeah.
Well, as far as I can tell, it was left here much like the. Well, I believe a good example would be, are you familiar with the 100 that the founders once sent out?
I am indeed.
Well, this is something similar. This is a beacon, a data cache for members of my species to find one another.
Was it intended to be put in close proximity to Muuat society?
I believe it was put here when my people first instilled the Muuat.
Well, based on its design and the structure, it doesn't necessarily seem like it was attempted to be hidden in any.
What's the other race called?
The energy race?
Yeah,
Energoids.
Energoids.
Or at least that's what Andromeda's calling them.
Or at least their classification.
Yeah.
And they cannot enter this space.
I mean, they can, but they very much prefer to live where there's high level of radiation. Oh, I see what you're asking. No, apparently their radiation dumping technology does not affect the garden as it is.
So it's a protected place for Andromeda's species.
For the Muuat, not Andromeda species.
Well, also the device they left.
Well, yeah, but there are no, as far as Andromeda knows, there are no Dohrnii in the immediate area.
Andromeda, does this mean that the protective shield, for lack of a better term, has a origin on the planet?
You mean to say that there's something that controls the neutron stars?
Yeah, something that's protecting the races actively. If so, if we run a scan, maybe we can figure out how we can make use of its.
As far as I know, and you have to remember, I'm not really a science type. I mean, yeah, I'm great at medical type stuff, but doesn't mean I really understand the nitty gritty of it. As far as I know, it's just certain arrangement of the stars and the characteristics of subspace in this area. Just, it's a natural, well, maybe engineered, but it's still a somewhat natural sort of shield. I don't think there's any control mechanism to it.
Are you aware of any more caches of data on this planet and or in this system?
No, I believe this is probably going to be the only one.
Is it possible that this device might be in communication with other such devices?
It would if this device was able to communicate outside the garden, but as we all know, since subspace is distorted, getting a signal out is next to impossible, short of shooting a ship past the veil.
Could we reconstruct the device outside the veil? Or such a device?
I think I know where you're going with this. The important bit of data I was referring to was I now know the exact frequency either needed to find my people or send out a beacon to draw them in.
Okay, yes, that's what I had in mind.
My last question that I suppose is coming to mind, just something that we need to consider. Even though there's been a great societal upheaval and a great change for all of us within the past few hours, are we certain that this device isn't malfunctioning? And how are we able to assure that this information that you've just received is accurate?
Well, I hate to put it this way, but they believe I'm a goddess at this point. I'm pretty sure I could tell them to jump up and down on one leg and they'd do it.
Well, not necessarily.
Please don't.
I'm not necessarily referring to the sanctity of the Muuat, but more so the device that you interfaced with.
I mean, as far as I can tell, it was intact. It was not tampered with in any way.
It still bears further investigation.
So,
okay, well,
technology-wise, I think we've got a lead, at least with regard to Andromeda's species and finding other such links. Culturally, here, what do you want to do, Commander?
At this point, I think that
I have a couple recommendations, in that if the society continues, I think we discussed that it would revert to even more a Dark Age point, or some kind of schism's going to occur. But maybe we should try to stop that.
this is a question that's best left to the crew as a whole.
Well, maybe Inari has some input considering this is her field of expertise.
At this point, I wouldn't necessarily consider it a violation of the Prime Directive, or unless you would want to correct me,
Yeah,
considering the exact nature of
but
the societal collapse.
it's not a contamination by us directly. It's a contamination originally put forth by Andromeda's race. So it seems that they would be the ones to correct it, at least through her.
I'm not opposed to attempting to at least correct the Muuat.
I don't think we can correct them overnight,
Of course not.
but we have to at least provide them a path or some understanding.
Well, I think that means we have to figure out how they got to this point in the first place so we can come up with some causality and then argue again.
Well, it was the causality was the launching of the ship and the fact that it didn't return. That's when the society turned towards this more pseudo-religious.
Well,
If we show them the means to get outside the veil.
Yeah,
Maybe
but that's still untested. We haven't taken anybody from here outside.
and before we even begin talking about taking someone outside the veil, this is still a society that we need to gradually introduce ourselves to, much less remove their worldview.
Agreed, but think about this as we continue on for our time here.
Personally, I think at least our immediate goal is probably to continuously gather the information that Andromeda just provided us and begin to work on a device that has the ability to, that has characteristics to contact the Dohrnii. I mean, that is our primary mission and why we're here in the first place, and I still wish to further that. So probably taking some teams from the Adiona, and if there's any other information that we could gather, whether it be planetary-wise or aboard the realm of Aven ships, whatever information and engineering tech necessary, we need to begin to understand how we would construct a beacon in the first place.
That was a question that I was going to ask one of the acolytes, but I hadn't had the chance yet. How do they learn from the Dohrnii?
Well, Andromeda has an answer. She says, well, I guess a good comparison would be showing a caveman how to use a bow or showing how to make fire. They may not understand the entire principle behind it, but you show it to them enough, they figure out how to do it.
But what is actually showing them? You know what I mean? Is it this device projecting images or interfacing with the Muuat in some way to say, here, do this?
I would say it's very similar to a holographic display across this entire temple.
You broke up. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, it is a holographic display across the entire temple.
Okay. Maybe we could change that display with further teachings.
One thing at a time, most
But-
definitely.
That would require us to interface with the primary, which they only allow the Dohrnii to.
I'm sure Andromeda could bend a little bit of rules here and there to help us out a little, can't you?
I mean, I could certainly try. I don't think they would say no, but who knows?
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Additionally, I think the best way to go about this is to present this information in the form of a cultural exchange. Thoughts on that?
I agree.
Well, in that case, then we have two goals. To begin a construction on the beacon to allow Andromeda to contact them. And
Let's-
to go ahead.
Let's establish commonality with them. Things that they do and we do also.
Yeah, most definitely. That was the second goal, to establish further cultural relation, while trying to, at the same time, the end goal being to at least continue to preserve the society. And to do that, we need more societal information.
Right.
So that's the goal. You guys all have your orders and you know what to do. When we leave this place, I'd like to contact the Adiona and contact the engineering department to look over the information that Andromeda has, to at least begin, theorizing how to put such a device together. Additionally, I don't really want to bring any more people from the Adiona on the surface. So I think right now, at least when it comes to societal information, it'll be down to the rest of us.
Okay. And I think we need to also establish personal relationship with someone
I agree. We need one clear representative.
on their side.
Yes. That's what I meant, yeah. On their side. We need a representative from them.
And it should include, for example, the captain and the acolyte both. We need to reach both.
I agree. Well, in any case, then if there's nothing else to be said, let's go out there and oh my god, I cannot
Diplomats.
talk. Diplomat. It's time to be diplomat.
All right. So
So how do you want to walk all through this? As far as game master.
Well, that's what I'm gonna kind of give you guys a few options about this. So to prevent me from talking to myself for, well, it's going to be quite a large amount of time, we can handle this a few different ways. The first is that from this point on, or at least until I'm needed to do otherwise, Andromeda will be very subtly working in her own way to correct the societal problem. I mean, as you yourselves already realized, it's not going to be like an overnight change, but she'll be doing things on her end to sort of, I guess ingratiate's the word I want, to
Perfect
basically correct what the Muuat believe. But part of that would be allowing the 5 of you access to the temple, including the device, which was before now limited to just her.
Crawford's just with her at all times.
That's
Okay.
correct. Unless Crawford wants to do something different. I mean, Crawford's definitely sticking to it like glue.
All right. So the other thing I'd like to point out is that it's not like they're going to throw you guys a grand banquet or feast, because they literally do not eat. But at some point, you guys are going to need to eat, which is something I think would be an interesting scene, but we'll let you guys decide that. But first, before we get really into the nitty-gritty of how we handle this, I think, Morgan, you wanted to call the captain back on the Adiona.
I did indeed.
All right, well, since he's back, let's have that conversation.
Does Andromeda eat?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, she can, but she rarely does.
Okay.
So, is this call taking place immediately after our conference room?
That's entirely up to you.
I wanted to have a little bit of time pass. At least I wanted to have this call take place after we were discussing more diplomatic channels.
Okay.
I wanted to establish those first before I give the captain an update, because I don't really have much here.
Yeah, let's do a little bit of diving into what you want to set up. So obviously, after you get past the whole, yes, I'm an emissary, yes, we want to converse with you, yada, 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 what specifically are you aiming to set up as far as a cultural exchange?
So, primarily, I want multiple key points of contact. we already have, the acolyte and the lieutenant that we met. I want to keep those channels open, but if they have I want to get the information of whatever the head religious leader of their sect is, primarily, and I'd like to see if we could gather other. The Muuat probably wouldn't provide it to us, but I want to see if we could gather other societal information for people that don't necessarily believe, that Andromeda's race are gods. What they believed before. If there's any members of their society that still believe that, I want to see if we could subtly start gathering that information.
Okay. I would say that at the mention of those who do not believe, the acolyte you're working with does get a little bit cold. But I mean, he still tells you that, yeah, they exist, but they're kind of viewed as heretics, and it's something where if you don't believe, you just kind of pretend that you do, so that you aren't persecuted.
And what exactly is the punishment for the people that don't believe?
He just kind of looks very, shall we say, furtively at Andromeda before looking back at you. Almost as if it was some sort of punishment set forth by Andromeda's people.
Oh, that's nice.
Great. Cake or death? Lovely.
You there! Cake or death? Have the cake, please. Very well! Give him cake. I could do that whole skit. Don't get me started.
It's the Inquisition.
Yep.
In any case, we're not going to get official help from the religious leaders in that matter, so
we need to keep them in the fold.
We do, indeed. So, do they have a planetary representative that's not religious?
I mean, he's still going to be religious, but they do have a representative, yes. I just have to find what I did with his token. I know I have it in here somewhere.
Well, I mean, someone that's not necessarily officially tied to the church, that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got what you're asking. Yeah, there's his token. All right.
Commander Morgan, maybe just a thought I'd mentioned to you. Maybe we should work on the highest religious leader and really overexpose him if we could turn him through Andromeda, and exposure to our own culture.
Most definitely.
It's think of it as like taking the Pope on the tour. It's like, here, okay, now what do you believe?
Yeah, but then again, if he's the incumbent, status quo is advantageous to them. You got to really weigh who you go after first.
But in the end, the overall ruling power here is Andromeda. That's true no matter what.
So the name of the planetary governor is Radi, and the acolyte will tell you that he is a reasonable man. He's not the most religious individual in the world, but apparently he does enough to kowtow, however the hell you say it, to, basically stay in good graces with the church. But, if you wanted to talk with him, you certainly could.
I do, but I'm not sure what I would want to say.
No, we're just getting names right now. I don't really have any questions at the moment.
But there is an overall religious leader, right?
There is, and where's his token? Yes, there it is. So let me put him there.
It's the one with the hat.
I guess we'd ask about him in general. Is he, trying to get a measure of the person? Is he like the Pope, or is he more like a Spanish Inquisitioner?
I would say more like a Spanish Inquisitioner.
Okay.
All right, where is his name? There's his name. So it's Priest Verenic. That would be the religious leader of the planet, and probably of their entire people.
It would be interesting, Commander Morgan, to see the priest's reaction to Andromeda. Right now, immediately.
It would, indeed. And I'm up for that. But before we do that, I forgot the question I was going to ask, so it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, I think you were still going to call the captain after you got all these names anyway. So
There was one more question I had to ask. It was in terms of getting names, but I forgot, so it doesn't matter. We'll pick that up later. So we'll call the captain, and then we'll go show off.
Were you looking for a name of someone that's anti-religion?
No,
Okay.
because I mean I don't believe the priest would tell us that, and if that's the case, I'd probably go through the planetary guide and ask him that question instead of.
Not to mention they're not going to expose themselves unless they know for a fact they're not going to die. Because
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. That's important.
Do we want to have a scene with the priest then?
well, if you call for the priest, I mean, he will be on his way, but it's still going to be an amount of time that you could make the call back to the Adiona with.
Well, we'll get both of those done at the same time, I suppose.
Alrighty.
So would I be able to just? Yeah, we'll just do this in the conference room. I don't have to trek back to the shuttle.
Yeah, you get a signal, no problem.
Commander Morgan to Captain Williams.
this is the Adiona. Go ahead.
Boy, do I have a story for you, Captain. Before we continue, what's the status of the Adiona?
Zava, we still 5x5?
Well, it's getting a little crowded out there, but otherwise, yeah, we're all right.
Yeah, we're still alive there, Morgan. How can we help you?
Have good news, bad news, and a plan of action.
Okay.
So, good news is we're getting one step closer to our goal, and we figured out a little bit more about Andromeda and her people. Bad news is we've exposed ourselves to the society, and they actually believe her to be some sort of deity.
Okay.
What I'm sending you right now, is a collection of data that we've been recently able to acquire. And it's left by some piece of technology that was left by Andromeda's people. And apparently, they left it upon the surface of the planet, and the Muuat had the ability and learned to at least maintain it, but not necessarily interface with it. Some of the data we think it has the potential to allow us to contact Andromeda's people, to contact the Dohrnii, and I'd like to get the engineering department to at least begin theorizing and start working on it right away.
Alrighty. I'll get a team together. We'll see what we can scan from here as well. Maybe we can get something more with the scanners on board.
The other news is that cultural relations, so besides the explosion of thinking that we're deities, is going pretty well. But because of which, and we don't want to continuously overexpose our society, I'm going to recommend that we don't send any further people from the east to the planet's surface. If there's anything else that you'd like to do, you can go through the realm of Avon. If you feel like you need to staff it a little bit more, just in case we need to move. But in any case, I want to stick with the away team that we have on the surface.
Yeah, I'm not big on hot swapping a lot of crews on an active away. If you're comfortable with the team you have, I see no reason to move anybody.
All right, then. It's going to be a long day. So save a slice of pie for me.
Never. All the pie is mine.
Wow. Well, yeah, I guess I'm just never coming back then. All right, I got the wrong of Avon now. That's my ship, right?
We'll talk about that. But look, you have full discretion to go forward as you see fit. If you need anything else, give us a call.
Understood. Working out.
All right. And since I see a few people are needing to BRB and whatnot, let's take our 10-minute break here. So let's say be back by no later than 9:25, so 10 minutes from now. All right, BRB.
10 minutes, Roger.
So who's waiting for this to just blow up in our faces?
I am.
Well, the main thing is you can't exactly flip a religion with 30 minutes of a TV show.
Yeah.
Well, you can, but we don't have that kind of magic with us.
And we
True.
also don't really have the time to deal with a full-scale revolt.
Yeah, especially since we're not the ones that did it in the first place, so we don't have the agency to fix it. We got to do it through Andromeda, and she may not be that comfortable going any further than what she already.
I still want to try interfacing with that device
You will.
that the Dohrnii left.
You've probably been doing that all this time now. Trying to get into it.
Just jack my arm into it, see what happens.
Let's get the doctor and upload him. If he can project his own image. I am your god now.
I would not suggest that.
Would it really be that worse? Honestly, I mean, I in character, I'm afraid of the dark, but honestly, it wouldn't be that bad. It would be pretty bad. What am I saying?
Well, I do have an idea, but I'll wait until the game. So that thing go well for you today, Havoc?
I was gonna ask that. How was that interview?
Went decently well. They said they're probably going to call back for the next round, so that makes me happy. And if I do get that second round, then I'll probably be in for the third one. I was the best dressed out of everyone who went there.
I'd hire you, but you already know that.
I actually do not know your reasonings for that.
Because
thank you.
Because you're already on my ship. That's why. So I'm biased.
Well, it could have been a force thing.
I mean, it could be.
Alright, because my brain is going into blank mode for some reason. What is the grand scheme of our plan, Commander?
We need to get information about the cultural and societal implication. Well, what am I saying? I'm talking gibberish. We need to find the people that allows us to learn more about them, so we could slowly introduce them and correct their society to make sure they don't destroy themselves in a few centuries. So we need to talk to
Question.
people.
Couldn't this be made really simple by, say, connecting someone who can actually link up to a processing terminal to basically search all their databases?
We gotta at least attempt diplomacy. I mean, yeah, I don't want to steal information from them. We just got here.
Realize this, Morgan. Andromeda's people left this device to be found and effectively used by the Muuat. This is how they've learned about it, right? So that is the interference. Now I think we need to manipulate that device so that it continues to guide the Muuat. Do you understand what I mean?
I understand what you mean.
So, it's been teaching them all along. Let it continue to teach them.
But at the same time, we don't exactly know what it's been teaching them yet. In specific details, that is. It's kind of like, I described that, they kind of know. They're shown how to use it, but they don't exactly understand. I think the key here is understanding at first.
It just needs to show them a little bit more, but that really is the source of the contamination. Could remove it.
The thought crossed my
I
mind.
think if we removed it, there would be a problem. A very big problem. A problem that I need the phaser I have hidden in my arm.
The other thought that actually did cross my mind was, and I'm thinking out loud here, not necessarily trying to tip off our GM, but beaming in when nobody's around and interfacing with the device.
Or we could have Andromeda just say, I allow this acolyte to interface because yada yada yada.
Alright, and I'm unmuted for those of you on the stream, so of course thank you guys watching on Twitch and or YouTube. Appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out my game. Hopefully you're having a good time with it. Just as a reminder, as I usually do during these breaks, if you have Twitch Prime, just remember you've got to resub every month, and it's a free sub every single month, and you get Twitch Prime if you have Amazon Prime. Just, you know, I'm pretty sure it's an option whenever you sub to a channel to use your Twitch Prime subscription, but just remember, gotta do it every month. Which, you know, good way, there's good reasons for that, and there, you know, there's, well, why didn't you just make it automatic? But hey, it's Twitch, what can you do? Other than that, you know, hopefully you guys are having a good time. I'll unmute myself and everybody else.
As illustrated earlier in our chat, this doesn't break the Prime Directive since somebody already broke it.
Yeah, but even then, even before we realized that they were tampered with prior to, we kind of assumed that they were warp capable, you know, until we met them and they believed that we were gods.
Yeah, but the main thing is we got to be able to intersect another idea without trampling all over the other one. But either way, it's gonna be ugly. Change is always painful.
Technically, they did achieve faster than light travel, though, through the catapult.
That they did?
So, may not be warp capability, but they already figured out how to do something that didn't involve a warp field.
They didn't figure it out. They were taught. They were influenced. Well, I guess you could say they figured it out by reading the...
Also, is
writing.
that even their home
Oh.
world?
I remember what I was going to ask now. And I'll ask it in game and I'll write it down and make sure I don't forget.
Oh, this ain't their homeworld. They were brought here.
Well, they think of it as their homeworld anyway.
Now, yeah. Now we gotta wonder how many other species are like this out there.
Alright, well, I guess I can put us back on the regular screen. Alright. So, where would you guys like to start?
It's up to the commander. He was here.
I am back. Alright, where are we starting? Where are we dropping, boys?
That's the question.
Well, we're already here in a temple, so we might as well continue meeting with the religious leaders and let's go meet them. Let's go meet.
Alright. So it is about this time that Priest Virenic does make an appearance, and as you can tell by his token, he is definitely different than the other Muuat you've seen thus far. I would say the big difference is that he resembles what would be in human culture a wyvern, and he's definitely not humanoid in nature. He definitely looks more like a beast than a man. But he still shares the characteristics of sort of a silicon-based gaseous life form that is contained by plates of armor or some form of metallic covering. But when he approaches all of you, he sees Andromeda first, and immediately he goes down on what is equivalent of one knee and says in a very gravelly voice, which I'm not even going to attempt to replicate, he says, "Goddess, you humble us all with your presence. To what do we owe this great and joyous occasion? Have you come to uplift our species again?" And Andromeda just sort of looks at Morgan and then looks back at the priest and says, no, I simply came to check and see how you all were doing. You seem to have been doing a fine job without us." And the priest does rise and says, I'm very pleased to hear that, your grace. I trust everything is to your liking." And again, Andromeda does very, very carefully look at Morgan before saying, "Well, I'm glad you guys haven't blown yourselves up yet, but there are matters which I believe could use some changing." And the priest says, "Oh, of course, whatever you need. Even though the governor may not be a religious man, I believe that me and my people are willing to do whatever is necessary to achieve the vision that the Dohrnii have for us." And Andromeda, noticeably now, is a little bit weirded out by all this. Is like, "Yeah, well, I would like these 5 here," and she points at the away team, "to be given full access to whatever facilities they want within the temple, including my personal pedestal." And the priest says, Of course, we will allow them to do so." And to answer whether or not he is a different species, no, he is just a different configuration. But yeah, unless you prod Andromeda to ask for anything else, she'll sort of take the priest aside and begin her own version of, hey, maybe, things aren't as you see, but in a very cautious way type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that'll leave the rest of you able to do things.
Crawford's gonna walk up to the priest
Okay.
and just get nice and close with him, and was like, "Hi."
Hello, emissary.
Yeah. Look, you said that your people are willing to do whatever the Dohrnii ask, right?
It would be heresy to not listen to a god.
Interesting. All right, excellent. So, what if you mentioned uplifting? What if they want to do that again, but give you the knowledge to do it yourself? Join them in the stars, as it were. How would your people feel about that?
Oh, well, our people would feel honored that we are now finally worthy of such a task.
And even being taught to explore and venture out and find new knowledge. You'd be fine with that too, right?
As long as it is in the name of the Dohrnii, of course.
Sure. Start small.
Add a character. I just want to make sure that you understand what he's telling you. He's basically saying that, yeah, he'd love more than anything for his god to say, you are going to come with me and explore the stars. But you're essentially unleashing a religious species upon the rest of the galaxy, which runs around in neutronium ships. So just think about that for a little bit.
Warhammer 40k tie-in, I smell. Anyone else?
Was this the Wrath and Glory crossover?
I mean, I'm not going to say that they wouldn't go full 40k Inquisition, but yeah, they probably would.
Guys, we pretty much jumped through the warp already. Let's not do any more than that, okay?
Just so you know, there's other elevated individuals out there, other like us. Yeah, the emissaries, as you call us, that might be out there. They're doing the same thing we're doing. You wouldn't want to cross them or threaten them or anything like that, because that would be against your teachings, would it not?
And Andromeda hastily tries to save this and says, what the emissary means is that we just want to make sure, or at least I want to make sure, that you're not going to begin subjugating other species in my name. And the priest says, but should we not bring the teachings of the Dohrnii to all?
Ensign Kara's going to run over to Commander Morgan. Should you really be letting the security team be discussing what happens in the future with these guys?
I'm definitely going to walk over and put my hand around Crawford, and I just say, I think there's something over there that requires your attention. And then I'm going to slide my way into the field of view of Priest Rennick and just say, and formally introduce myself.
All right. So, of course, Priest introduces himself as well and says, well, Emissary Morgan, what say you on this matter?
All right. Before I answer his question, I want to look back to the away team and just, you guys got your, it's the look that tells you guys got your green light. It's time for you to take it. Which means go interface. Anyway, I turn back to the priest and I just, well, a life beyond the veil is impressive and expansive. And by all means, I am completely willing to have a discourse and share further information if you're so inclined.
Well, if we are to be uplifted and join the emissaries among the stars, then yes, we would be more than willing to see whatever you have in store for us.
Uplifted is a very specific word. Let's not go there quite yet, but you will learn more than you did before. And that's a start.
Priest, your species has been here for quite a long time, correct? Millennia?
Indeed, yes.
And it took all this time for your species to evolve and learn the teachings of the Muuat. I'm sorry, the Dohrnii.
That is
and
correct.
you attempted to leave the veil recently, relatively recently.
About 50 years ago, yes.
Do you believe that in order to go beyond the veil, you might need more guidance and teaching that could take time before you're ready to go?
Well, if the Dohrnii believe we are now ready to travel beyond the veil, then so be it. Our understanding has been that the veil has been there as a test, that we are not ready as a species to advance beyond it.
And I definitely give a look over to Andromeda and Commander Morgan. There may be more preparation necessary before you're ready to attempt the test.
Well, emissary, whatever the goddess has in mind, we are willing to listen.
I'm just pausing to see if Morgan or Andromeda want to say anything.
At this point, I'm probably just going to say, I'm going to lead him out of the temple. Not necessarily as a distraction, but I want to lead him back to the shop because I want to at least begin this cultural exchange.
Right.
So we're going to show him, the A, B, and C's of the Federation.
All right.
Yeah. Meanwhile, how much time did we build up while they were having that conversation for?
Yeah, I would say you get an easy 30 minutes to an hour while that's all going on.
I kind of whisper when I get a chance to Commander Morgan, don't over-teach them about the Federation.
Oh,
Just
no.
teach them about the cooperation.
Cooperation and core values.
But yeah, Keru, Crawford, Anari, Havoc, what are you guys doing while Morgan is off playing distraction?
I'd like to stay with Morgan.
Okay, you're off also playing distraction.
He doesn't
That
trust me
means the
out.
science team and the engineer are going to try to get her tech to interface with the object.
Alrighty.
Yep. We're gonna have a little bit of fun.
All right. So I'm assuming you're going to go straight for the main ticket item, the Dohrnii sort of computer interface.
Yep.
Alrighty. So, of course, when you first approach it, the acolytes start to rush towards you, but then another group of them sort of comes over in hushed whispers, and they all sort of recede back into the shadows, and you're given full access, but you're definitely being watched the entire time.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't going to rush up there. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
These guys are walking lava as far as I'm concerned. So
I'm gonna small question. How does the science team want to go about interfacing with this machine in a way that isn't going to tick off every single acolyte in here?
Well, first, let's try to run a scan, and then we'll use that scan as an assist for Havoc's attempt to. Let's go wireless first, and then we can go wired if that does.
Yeah, but
Surely Havoc's got a transmitter somewhere on her.
I do have a transmitter, but you see on my mechanical arm, just a small little tube come out of the palm. Wired is a little bit more efficient.
True, but wired is also means actively going inside this thing, which may spook these.
True. Let's try with the scanner first then. If that doesn't come up with anything, well, I guess we gotta go in hot.
Yep.
All right. So this is going to be to start things off, it's going to be an insight engineering at a difficulty of 4. And you may assist one another on this.
I think I have the highest inside engineering.
Yeah, considering
With
you're the
8, 10
engineer,
insight.
you got the most engineer.
You also have 6 momentum.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Mind if
momentum
I-
would burn.
Mind if I spend 3 of that to get 2 more dice? Or should I only spend 1 to get 1 more dice?
Do what you need to, man.
Who wants to assist me?
Well, it's going to be Amari or me.
I'm just gonna go with 3 dice and allow one of you to assist me.
Did I stay
And
behind or did I go with Morgan?
I think you said you were going with Morgan, so you're with
Yeah,
Morgan.
Crawford's not there. Yeah, it's just Amari, Kuru, and Havoc.
Crawford can't contribute to anything. He is strictly security.
Yep.
I didn't know they wanted me to stay. If they want me to stay, I'd stay.
Also, I do have cautious engineering, so note that I can re-roll any of my rolls once I've
Yeah.
fired off.
You need to maximize how many dice you got. You better go for 4 dice.
I don't think
I'll
I'll
go
cause
for
another.
4.
I don't think I'll cause another cultural disaster within the next 30 minutes. So if Anari wishes to stay,
That's up to the game master if we can retcon that.
yeah,
Sure.
Okay.
Alright, making my roll.
And Nanar, you want to assist?
Sure. I have
Your would that a focus of anthropology assist?
Yeah, that would assist, and yeah, you already have the 4 successes you need.
Mind
What's
if I
the-
roll that 0 to try and get us a little bit of
Yeah,
little
you
bit of
can
momentum
certainly
back?
do that.
what's my role?
Yours is going to be an insight science.
Focus?
Since you have cultural studies, yeah.
Hey, we got over.
All right, so you're back up to 5 total momentum. And remember, you can spend momentum to ask questions, but with this success, you do gather that this device is, well, how do I want to put this? So it's not it's kind of an open secret that Andromeda's suit is more or less a glorified nanite sort of interface with the outside world. So it's conceivable for you guys to achieve a wireless connection, quote unquote, if you were to mimic this sort of nanite construction. So it's something you could attempt, but you would have to spend probably about an hour rigging something up and then hoping it connects properly.
I actually look at Andromeda and motion for a small whisper between us.
I mean, the good thing about Andromeda is since she's in a full body suit and her face is covered, she can talk to you without, actually vocalizing.
Well, I can't do the same back, so just
She's in the combat
give me-
frequencies.
Yeah, just use the
Yeah.
combat.
Oh, yeah. I use that and I mention this directly to her and then pose the question, could you possibly spare a few, because I understand your suit is a nanite interface, could you spare a few of those for me to use? Or is that too personal?
I think given the circumstances I could, but I'm wary of doing it in front of anyone here. I don't want them to think I'm doing anything weird.
We could.
Establish a data link through her suit.
I was gonna hail the Ophion.
You mean the Adiona?
Or Adiona, sorry.
Yeah, bring in the
they're-
Ophion.
they're
That's a
pretty-
good
they're
trick.
pretty-
Ophion
yeah.
shows up. Oh my god!
All right, Ophion crew, join the Discord. Hop on in. Let's get everybody in.
It wouldn't surprise me with all their time traveling.
Actually, we might need the Arcadia in it a little bit.
Be right back. I'll let you
Well, they went 40k on us, so it's time to collapse Pandora's Gate. Endgame, boys, it's realized.
So I hail Adiona,
Okay.
Captain.
Who's the Adiona? Go ahead.
Commander or Captain, we found a device here. I believe you're aware of, and we're trying to set up an interface. I'd like to set it up a link between Adiona and the device. Can you handle things on your end?
Let's see. Let's make sure we can get a good enough signal. I'm pretty sure if the signal's good, we can do that. Nope.
Yeah,
So-
signal's good.
So I explained that we found that we think we could do some kind of remote, I got a tricorder and feed the information up to Adiona so that they can link with this device.
The Adiona will set up a tactical data link with the station down on the
All right. So, Galen, I would imagine you would either hear about
He's-
this because you're on the bridge, or someone would tell you because it is involving Andromeda's
Back.
nanites. But yeah, you are informed of this situation.
Interesting.
Oh, I just actually thought of something. Again, we're trying to change how the religion works, but currently while it's in effect, this might be useful. I also mentioned to Andromeda, we could pretend that this is you giving me permission or something like that. Again, they said only people with only the Dohrnii are allowed to do it, so you could tell them that you're giving me explicit permission.
Well, as the doctor knows, it's not exactly a short process. I don't think what I don't want is for them to start begging me to repeat the process on them.
True.
It might be best to simply have the doctor either come down himself or materialize some of the samples he has on hand already.
I would say materialize if we can hide that. That way, we don't have a hologram walking in the Dohrnii area and exposing them to even more technology than they already have.
He could beam inside the shuttle or whatever we want, and then he could come out of it.
True, but have you seen how that guy stretches?
No. Must be frightening.
It's absolutely horrifying. I've had nightmares for 2 nights because of it.
Captain, could we transfer the doctor to the interior of the shuttle and I would go meet him?
Well, couldn't we just beam his emitter directly to your palm?
Yeah, but I would think it'd be better if he came out of the shuttle rather than just appeared.
Well, GM, what I'm thinking is if he doesn't actually materialize, he just has his code in the emitter, and then you place the emitter against the device. Wouldn't he be able to? Does he actually need to physicalize in order to do that?
Well,
Oh, that's interesting.
no matter what is doing the interface or who is doing the interface, you still need Andromeda's nanites to do it. So
He
it's
has a
not-
sample.
Yeah, it's not just the doctor that needs to come down. It's the nanites he has on his person that need to come down.
I would very much suggest just getting the nanites to us in a way that isn't going to cause the Muuat to freak out. So
Okay, well,
possibly,
let me go to the shuttle and get the nanites. And I'll be back. They just beam the nanites into the shuttle.
Yeah, that's simple
Exactly.
enough to do.
I mean,
Yeah,
unless you want to
probably-
super fancy and like beam it into like a hidden compartment of Havoc, but who knows?
we
that's a
could
big
do
roll.
that. We
That's
could
gonna
do
be
that.
that's gonna be CR4 at least.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
most definitely.
But the shuttle has a transporter, right?
It does.
Yeah, so
So-
pad to pad is difficulty 0, and then environmentals add to that. So and probably what a CR1 that'd be.
So- I asked Crawford to accompany back to the shuttle just in case.
I got orders to stick to Andromeda.
I'll go
Oh.
with you to the shuttle.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, so
Oh.
what? It's just me in the next.
Well, we can all go back to the shuttle temporarily.
Nah, I'd rather stay here and keep running scans.
Okay.
And plus, as long as Andromeda's here, they aren't gonna really do much.
True.
So we
So,
let
I
Andromeda know
whisper.
what
I
we're
whisper the
doing.
guy with me. Sorry.
I was
I
going to
was-
say we mentally link with Andromeda, let her know that we're going to get the nanites from the ship.
All right. Well, she's gonna continue just sort of doing her own thing, quote unquote, spreading the good word, as it were.
The
Yeah.
Adiona will comply and go along with their plan.
Okay.
I make sure that the compartment that holds my phaser is on a quick unlatch, so if anything tries to jump us, I can immediately take reaction.
Okay.
But it's definitely not something that's easily visible to anyone.
All right. So we are going to make a roll for this because there is a somewhat environmental effect in play. Some form of, I don't want to say ambient radiation, but some form of dampening field across the planet. It's nothing major you can't pierce, but it's going to be still a difficulty 2 task. So it's going to be control engineering for whoever's managing the transporters. And the difficulty 2 is after accounting for the Adiona's sensors. So
Can Havoc do it on our end?
yeah,
handle it?
Havoc can do it on your end, but it would be the shuttle's sensors engineering rather than the Adiona's sensors engineering.
Or do we want Adiona to do it, I guess?
Well, if Adiona does it, it has to be someone on the Adiona that does the initial control engineering.
Yeah, I think Zava's the only one we got up there like that.
Or me, Merrick. But I'm not a transporter. But
No, if you're on this ship, you can do it. It only takes one turn to move.
will
in
my
the ship.
sensors focus help me with transporters?
It would, yeah.
Okay, Merrick will do it. Let me get the sheet.
Metagame here, and
I
ask.
mean, it's as a whole, the system is very metagamey. So
All right. What about why don't we have our hologram show us up again and ask the emergency engineering hologram to take care of it?
yeah, you could certainly have the EEH handle it.
That's fine.
He has no training in transporters.
Have him materialize in the transporter room and take care of it himself. Just a third option.
Well, okay, I'll roll.
All right.
Control engineering with a focus, right?
Yep.
And I need 2 successes.
Yep. Oh, I'm gonna spend some thread here. Complication rate 16 to 20.
So you guys
Just
do
had to
on
juice it.
Galen, or just nanites?
I think it's just the
they're
nanites.
The nanites, yeah.
Alright.
Question: Can crap. Never mind.
Well, I'll use 1 momentum to start with.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sensors engineering for the ship, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you can roll that.
Ready?
All right. Well, there's 4 successes, 5 successes. Very nice. So that what? That gives you 3 momentum. So you have 2 floating. Alrighty.
Yeah, I bought 1.
So something very interesting is going to form. Not only do you achieve the nanites, but a small furry creature shows up along with the nanites, and you can probably guess what the small furry creature is.
Oh,
I'm
no.
immediately going to slam something over it to hold it in place. I am not letting that thing move.
Quick,
That
beat
is
it back
being-
up into space.
That is going to be inside a glass jar.
You have contained a tribble within a glass jar. And
No,
just so
Nari-
it's clear, the moment you tell this to Merrick, you guys don't know where this tribble came from, but it's here now.
Oh no.
We have a tribble in a glass jar. I have made sure to
Wait.
secure it and sequester it away inside of a very, very secured box. We are
Wait.
not letting this thing out.
What? Wait, what the hell? Did we actually have a Tribble on board?
Tribble has appeared with your nanites. You don't know where the Tribble came from. It's just there.
I can tell Nari's in love now. Oh, it's so cute. Let it out.
Yeah, no. No. I am not letting that thing out. That thing
Oh,
is a
come on.
menace.
Dr. Galen here, can you transport that Tribble to sickbay, please?
Okay. You want me to
Let
roll
me
again?
guess.
Yeah, I'd
That
like you
is
to roll again,
yours.
please.
Same difficulty?
Same difficulty.
But none of the threat problems.
Yeah, same threat problems. There you go.
You just had to say something, didn't you?
It's
I
like the
just
scene-
had to say something, didn't I?
It's like the scene from Galaxy Quest when the guy tries to transport for the first time and it's inside out.
Yeah.
Control
And exploded.
I'm going to buy another die
Okay.
and use the focus again, and we'll see what happens.
All right. So you're actually at 5 momentum because remember, you can't go over 6 at any given time.
Oh. Wrong character, but
Close enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
You with a 3, a 5, and a 6, it's low enough. All right. So interestingly, when you beam the Tribble back to Galen,
there's two of them.
well, no, there's not 2 of them. Nothing materializes. And the transporter shows that something should have, but it didn't. In fact, now
I
that you
am
look
suspicious.
Oh, no.
at it, there's
This
no
is even-
trace of the Tribble.
Check the buffer.
No sign of it.
I begin full scanning the ship I'm in.
Okay? What are you looking for?
I am looking for a small furry creature.
Oh, okay. Roll me a reason science, please. And this is not just me as the GM fucking with you, even though it totally is. There's a reason for this. I'm not just throwing random tribbles where there shouldn't be. But
I find no tribbles.
Yeah, Mari. Yeah, you're not finding any tribbles in the shuttle.
I'm immediately still suspicious because it should have teleported and it didn't. It may not be in the ship, but it may be somewhere on this planet, and they're not prepared to deal with a tribble.
What's the doctor think? Life. From nothing?
Well, I can't get involved. I'm still at the other console, so I don't know what the hell's going on.
I immediately calm the doctor. Doctor, the tribble is missing.
Yes.
Any idea of what just happened?
I believe it's in line and in league with the Romulans. It's developed a cloaking device.
Can you can please don't make jokes. Please don't make jokes about these things.
No, I'm quite serious. It's gone.
This makes me highly scared and highly suspect.
But where did it come from in the first place? Blood?
Andromeda is part tribble.
I mean, it would explain why everyone likes her.
You know, I'm done being absolutely terrified out of my mind. I'm just gonna take those samples real quick.
Okay. So you take the samples. You now have samples of Andromeda's blood. Or nanites, however you want to flavor it.
I also put in a backlog, basically, Star Trek email style, a very, very long and very, very angry message to the doctor why he did not mention this to me.
We'll let Adiona ponder the triple situation.
Yeah. So why the Adiona
Wait, do you report that to the Adiona?
Oh, they're aware of it.
Oh yeah, I report the tribble immediately.
Okay, so that's something else for the captain to mull over.
All right. Well,
In
now
fact,
that,
Adiona is just a massive stack of tribbles.
Yeah. Turn back the Adiona is now just one big tribble. No, so you guys have the nanites in hand to set up the interface based on the nanites. The nanites are what's going to give you the advantage to even make this interface possible. but it's still going to be a difficulty 5 task. The actual task itself is going to be either a control or a daring engineering, and only one person may assist. So I would recommend.
I'll do it. I'll do control engineering because I have a control of 12 and engineering of 5.
Yeah, that's probably a good bet. I will also spend some threat here to make that complication rate 17 to 20. So basically, if you don't succeed, you complicate. And you need 5 successes here. So you're going to want to spend at least some momentum.
Yeah, I say spend it all.
I'll burn
All of it.
I'll burn all in. All in. So that
Yeah.
gives me 5 dice.
And we
Plus
can
a
get,
focus.
we can get an assistance from either the ground or the ship.
No, this is purely. Oh, you mean on the away team? Yes, one other person on the ground away team can assist.
Yeah, so it's going to be Anari or Kuru if they come back.
Well, I came back with her.
Yeah, you're all in the same area more or less. Morgan's still off with the priest, and Andromeda's just floating around doing godly things. But
Yeah, and Crawford doesn't have the training for it, so.
yeah.
And thankfully, I have cautious engineering, so if we get any complicated, well, if I roll terribly on one of mine, I can say no, it did not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Firing off the first, pray to the gods.
Okay, so let's see. How is she?
Oh!
What-
All right. So
who's going to do the assist? We never actually said who's doing.
Either you or I.
Yeah, so
I'm not an engineer, but I know some.
yeah. Well, it's like, I'm guessing the DM would determine how we're assisting and make the roll based off that.
It's more than I'd like to have you guys justify it, but if need be, I can.
Well, no, that's what I'm getting at. It's like we're both science background, so how would we be assisting with this?
I mean, you still have basic engineering training. You can assist Havoc in setting up the interface by following her instructions. It's just something where you might offer some sort of scientific or otherwise overlooked sort of common type thing. It's like the equivalent of going to an architect, a master architect, and saying, hey, if you put a door here, it might work better. And the architect goes, oh yeah, if we put a door there, that could work quite well.
Well, yeah, I'm a real world maintainer, so yeah, I get it. But I'm trying to work with our stats. What's Anari's engineering in?
2.
I'm 1.
Inari would probably be better in that case.
Okay, I recommend we use the Tribble as an interface.
I just want to say I'm enjoying the most high stakes version of Lower Decks episode. I'm enjoying it. Please continue.
Okay, control engineering, you said?
Uh-huh. And Havoc, that 0 is a complication, so...
Reroll.
And I don't have a focus, I would think.
Nope, no focus for you, unfortunately.
Oh,
Oh, we have a
I'm
complication for
re-rolling.
Inari.
I'm re-rolling my complication one, so let's see if I can actually turn that into a...
well, we can buy it off with
Hey!
if we have momentum.
Nope, you
Well,
have no
it need
momentum.
two.
If he's
No, that victory counts as 1 momentum, but isn't it 2 to buy off?
Yeah, it's 2 momentum to buy it off.
that's up to you.
Yeah, I'm going to say you can't buy this complication off. And this complication is going to be your worst fear. When you go to interface with the device, everything seems to be working properly. I mean, it's doing the same swirling sort of information and holographic displays all around you, but it begins flashing red and a klaxon begins sounding, and the Muuat in the temple begin rushing forward, trying to get you away from this thing.
Alright, time to go. Time to do something that may or may not get me into a lot of trouble, and I may need someone to bail
God,
my ass out.
I'm already regretting what the hell he might be thinking.
Can we?
But I'm gonna slap my comm badge and call Commander Morgan and say we got a problem.
Can I scan it to identify what the problem might be?
Yeah, it's gonna be and I'm gonna say each of you gets 1 action before the Muuat are gonna start pulling you off. So for you, your action's gonna be to see if you can determine why it's failed. It's going to be an insight and science at a difficulty of 4. And unfortunately, you only have the 1 momentum at the moment.
Right. So even to have a chance, really, I gotta buy threat or use threat.
War determination.
Yeah, that's true too. And this is a bad spot. What would be my determination? Let's see.
Well, does Zanari even have a value
Actu-
to call upon?
No, I don't.
Well, then, yeah, you can't even use determination.
So she's. I guess I would just say I'm trying, but I don't think I'm going to get a success. That was the first thing that crossed my mind.
So what, you got 3 dice?
Yeah, I mean, unless I really buy with threat, that's going to be 2 threat. Even then, the chances aren't great.
You got to re-roll for buy momentum.
So you want me to roll, guys? 4 dice?
I'm saying is if you got cautious for whatever you're rolling, then use it. Otherwise, go ahead and buy the threat.
I think this is Anari's first time being used.
Yep.
Right, right. I don't have any values. I don't have any talents.
Yeah, she's auxiliary, so she wouldn't.
Right.
Right.
But I can get
Next.
4 dice. I'm just saying I can get 4 dice, but I gotta buy use 2 threat as well.
Yeah, I said do it, man. Screw it.
Okay. All right. So what do we want me to roll? Insight and science.
Correct.
And I don't have a focus, I think.
I'll give you a focus, but yeah, unfortunately, with only 1 success, you're in the dark.
Yeah, I didn't.
Havoc, what are you doing?
I didn't set the focus, so what are the rolls?
I don't think it's enough. Yeah, it's not enough. That's
Yeah,
a 19, an 18, and a
the
15. Not going to happen.
Yeah, and a 2.
Yeah, but
What was the
even then,
difficulty?
4.
Oh yeah.
Small question. What's the group's opinion on me just straight up direct interfacing with my armor and trying to stabilize it by using my own, well, mind into the system?
That was the plan.
The plan does not end. I am attempting to basically do a patch job with my own self to keep the to stabilize the system to stop this.
Fix the problem from the inside.
Yep. You're gonna see my body just go complete limp.
All right. I don't know how to roll for this, but let's say that all happens. Crawford, Keru, what are you guys doing?
I can hit someone.
I mean, if you want to start a brawl, you certainly can.
I'm gonna intimidate them.
Okay, how are you intimidating them?
I'm gonna get in between them and the engineer,
Okay.
and very sternly say to them, "You dare lay a hand on an emissary of your god."
Okay. Present security, please. Difficulty 3.
Is it okay if I use a momentum for a dice?
Yeah, that's what they're there for, man.
Alright, cool.
And I thought I was going to be the one to cause the next cultural disaster.
Isn't the momentum all gone? Because I used 1 and I bought 2 threat.
Yeah, so actually there's no momentum at the moment.
You bought those 2. Okay, I didn't know you used the momentum and the threat. I figured you just go all straight threat and say the momentum.
No, you can
No.
use it.
You get a threat,
Okay.
and I have a focus. I have intimidation.
I would hope you succeed then.
Ha!
Oh no!
Where were these rolls last on
Somebody's
Sunday?
gonna get knocked out.
Died.
So, hey Crawford. How you
Yeah.
doing there, buddy?
You know what? I had a character down Sunday. I couldn't roll to save my life, and now I'm getting 20s.
All right. Let's just hope someone can body block until I'm basically fix it up from the inside, because if someone pulls my body off from there, I don't know what's going to happen.
All right.
Well, Ensign Kara still has to take her action.
Yeah, I'll say
Yep.
let's have Karu. Let's do your action, and then we'll resolve this clusterfuck.
Yeah, so she's basically going to step over Havoc and try to at least block her a bit. But
Okay.
she's basically giving an audio notification to her combat. She's going to slap Commander Morgan. We got trouble.
Well, I mean, I was just about to start talking with the priest. What seems to be the issue?
Oh, we have time for a conversation. I was just slapping it in
No,
desperation.
that's
As
literally
in,
it.
yeah, it's like, Commander Morgan, we got a problem. And hopefully he recognizes the voice and hears the steps coming towards me on the microphone.
Yep.
Ow.
So was even Crawford aware of this?
Crawford was, yeah, he was here.
Oh, he was with us here.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, let's first resolve the whole Crawford thing.
Yeah, Kara's essentially going to try to shield Havoc physically. You know, if they try to pull her off, she's going to try to hang on or whatever to keep her body in the position.
Right,
You know,
right.
try to maintain the interface.
So, Crawford, I need you to roll me a daring security. Difficulty 1. You need at least 2 successes here to succeed.
Okay. Are they attacking me?
Yes, they are attempting to grapple you to the ground.
That's a melee check, man.
Weapons expert?
Not unless you have a batlet.
Yeah,
or a
what
dagger
weapon
on
you got?
My fists.
No, unless you have a mean right hook, I'm not letting you count your fists as a lethal weapon.
Okay. I gotta bring brass knuckles next time.
All right,
Jesus.
wow. With that
Wow.
complication. Crawford,
Complications.
you are tackled and wrestled to the ground.
Is anyone on the ship hearing the comms go live?
That's entirely up to Karu, since she was the one who tapped the comm badge.
Yeah, that was just a basic, like, general, like,
Distress call.
yeah, distress, but mainly at Commander Morgan letting her know something's going on with the away team.
All right, so I would say everybody, including those on the Adiona, knows that something has gone terribly, terribly wrong.
Oh boy.
Hopefully Andromeda can show up to bail us out.
I want to do one thing if possible as Galen.
Sure.
Captain, permission to beam down?
State your intentions.
Hopeful result. Well, medical aid if need be.
Go
And
to
that's
the
when you
shuttle.
guys-
I don't need you suddenly appearing and causing more ruckus down there.
That's when we hear Crawford get tackled. I'm like, nah, medical aid is needed.
Yeah, go down to the shuttle, then touch base with Commander Morgan for further instructions.
Yeah. So then whenever Galen can, he'll get down there whenever it fits.
Okay.
Do you want me to roll real quick to get Galen into the shuttle with Merrick?
Nah, I can just say that you managed to get into the shuttle and start heading down, but it's still going to be, we have to resolve this whole thing.
Okay.
So Karu,
Will
you're
a
up
Tribble
next.
show up with him?
So Karu, you're up next on the tackle block. Good news is they can't roll for shit, so you have the option of meleeing them back if you so wish, or grappling them back.
I'm mainly going to be taking a protective action, so I'll try a shove to prone.
Okay. So that's just going to be a daring security, difficulty 1, and as long as you succeed, you are able to roll some challenge die.
She has no focus. Did that thing roll?
So
Wow.
you
A terrible mistake.
yeah, you go to shove them
Okay.
back, and you trip over yourself, and now you're prone. Which leads
Expected.
us to Inari. Let's see how Inari
Three
does.
Stooges.
Inari,
Stooges.
I need
Armageddon
you to roll
continues.
me- Yeah, Inari, I
I-
need to see 3 successes from you here on a daring security.
Well, I don't want to resist.
Okay, then you just do that.
If they want to grapple me, let them grapple me.
Yeah, they're gonna grapple you and pull you away.
And I want to talk to them.
right. What are you saying?
This is by the wishes of Andromeda that we work with this device.
They do not seem to be either. I mean, they're hearing you, sure, but they're not really listening per se.
Contact her. Let her make the decision, not you.
All right. So, Havoc, while you're in virtual space, you realize the problem very, very quickly. It's a very obvious problem, one you probably should have thought of beforehand, which I have been laughing at as a GM this entire time. There's one thing you forgot to do before you set up the interface. You
Password.
forgot to reset the signature such that it's not Andromeda herself it's not Andromeda who's doing the accessing, it's a different Dohrnii. So when Andromeda tried to access it again and it didn't verify, basically there was some sort of verification check that it was Andromeda's nanites. Pretty much failed verification, and that's why.
All right. Can I forcibly do this? Can I attempt to fix the?
Are you a Dohrnii and have been holding on to me this entire time?
I'm a Borg. Which
If you want
means
to
I
inject
can-
more nanites into this thing and set off a whole can of worms, you can, but short of that, I don't think you can fix anything.
No. Not Borg. Not injecting Borg nanites. I was thinking the other way around. Could I trick the system into believing I'm a Dohrnii?
Oh, I see. Given your limited amount of time in which to act, I would say no. If you were given time outside of this, sure. But in the middle of what's combat, not so much.
All right. Question: do I still have connection to Andromeda?
You do.
Well, time to do some. Time to basically do what I have. Do something that's going to be rather interesting. I send a signal for Andromeda to get over here as quickly as possible while I disconnect and basically rise up very slowly.
Okay.
If we stop up,
feigning.
if we stop
Sorry.
what we're doing, it'll reset.
Yes, and basically I rise up very slowly as though like something has happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I just cock my head slightly at the people running at me to basically tackle me down and say, "I found what's going on."
All right. Well, they tackle you.
Of course they do,
And
but I let that really cryptic thing land there, so when they think back on it, they're going to be a little bit more like, "What was she?"
Yeah. So, Morgan, it's at this point that you walk in at the same time as Andromeda and the priest. Sounds like a bad setup to a joke, but there it is. You walk in and you see that your entire away team has more or less been wrestled to the ground and is being forcibly pulled away from the interface. And sure enough, after the connection is broken, the interface has returned to normal. But the priest just sort of goes up to all of them and says, "What the hell happened?"
I can explain because I was one with the machine.
Morgan?
Very simply,
I mean,
I forgot to ask very nicely to the machine to let me in, and thus it did not like what I was doing, and pretty much gave me the warning signals, which is why I disconnected. As such, the machine is not telling me not to, it merely asked me to ask in a different way.
Roll me a presence engineering, difficulty 3.
Would I be able to apply focus to this?
Do you have team dynamics, instruction, something like that?
Didn't fully get there.
Well, you do have determination if you want to try and change one of those 1s into a 2.
Yeah, I'll fire off determination.
All right, so you can re-roll as many dice as you want, but you only need to make one of them a crit.
Which
Basically,
is
you're
very,
crit
very
fishing.
difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not going to succeed, but I may as well try.
Can't hurt. In before 20.
In before 20. Should I reroll both or should I only reroll one?
That's up to you.
I reroll
True.
both. I say reroll both. I mean-
I wouldn't burn a determination like that, but that's me. It's your call.
I also can get it back with the challenge dice, but
That's what I was thinking. Well, I'm in. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, so unfortunately the same thing. And roll your challenge die to see if you get it back. Don't get it back, unfortunately. So the priest begins to say something. And Morgan, it's like everybody around you has slowed down.
Oh,
And
no.
they come to an immediate, like, frozen in time stop, even Andromeda. And then there's a flash of light. And your favorite best buddy Q shows up.
No!
And she
Oh.
says, "Well, Commander, you seem to be in a fine pickle. Would you like my assistance?" And that's where we're going to end the session.
Oh, damn it.
don't cliffhanger us like that.
It's my job
Goddamn
as a
science
GM.
Q, man.
First of all, I'm gonna say you right now. I don't accept help from omnipotent beings. I'm gonna not
Oh my
happening.
god, but I definitely do.
A word of advice from your stool pigeon of a captain. You got to keep them on the edge until you decide no. Don't just say no up front.
I'm not captain yet. I'm Harshin, and Rash and my away team's in danger. But hopefully,
Oh, dear.
I have a very
Yeah.
knee
If it
reaction.
figures the security officer is going to swing on a rock monster, that makes a lot of
Oh my God.
All right, well, let me end the stream. Players, stick around for a little bit longer. To anyone watching on Twitch or YouTube, thanks so much for tuning in. And yay, cliffhanger. I'll see you guys eventually. Bye-bye, stream.